Sir, I'm asking you to stop.
Please don't come close to me.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording me.
Please don't come close to me.
Please take your phone off.
Please don't come close to
And
me.
I'm taking a picture and calling the cops.
Please call the cops. Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Please tell them whatever you like.
I'm sorry, I'm in the Ramble, and there is a man, African-American, he has a bicycle helmet. He is recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African-American man, I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. And my... I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the Ramble. Please send the cops immediately. I'm in Central Park in the Ramble. I don't know.
Thank you.
We had to replay that whole thing so you guys can keep in mind everything that you just saw and heard again, because there's aspects that I forgot too as we go through what it is that she then has done in response. Because she wrote an op-ed and she's defending herself. Have at it. I love it. We should know more about who it is you are and why it is that what happened. Maybe an update on life in general. This was the op-ed. It was called, "I was branded, quote, Central Park Karen. I still live in hiding." Open mind for I've been trying, bro. Maybe I'll start next year. New Year's resolution. Open mind to people that I completely vehemently disagree with. Let's go here. In that op-ed published by Newsweek on Tuesday, Cooper placed the blame on birdwatcher Christian Cooper. Sorry, her name is Amy Cooper, and for instigating that viral incident. And she also raised a host of asinine reasons to justify her behavior. Pandemic and things like that. Let's go to some of the things that she said. She goes, "As Christian's video went viral, my life, as I knew it, was over." Cooper argued in her op-ed that anxieties were running high due to the COVID pandemic when she accidentally took her dog, whom my life revolved around, into the Ramble, which is the protected nature preserve in Central Park that's popular with bird watchers. She claimed Christian scared her when she heard his voice boom, telling her that she shouldn't be there with an unleashed dog. She accidentally got there. So if a booming voice tells you, hey, you're supposed to have that dog on a leash, what if it was a police officer? Would you then do what you did? Let's continue on. As Christian Cooper has also acknowledged, when Cooper refused to leash her dog, he held out a dog treat and said, look, if you're gonna do what you want, I'm gonna do what I want, but you're not gonna like it. Basically saying, you'll understand the frustrations. So more on what Amy Cooper wrote. She goes, "I was a female alone in a secluded area of Central Park with a man yelling at me and threatening me. As a victim of sexual assault in my late teens, I was completely panicked for my safety and well-being." And her excuse as to why she kept mentioning skin color on the phone, again, you just heard it. She said her repeated description of his skin color was due to poor phone reception. In a callback from a dispatcher, she also falsely accused Christian of assault. There were never any racial implications. And to my words, I just felt raw fear and desperately wanted help. So if she has to tell the cops over and over again on the phone, because I'm trying to identify you and there was some breaks in our communication and our connection, I had to keep telling them. How about before you were on the phone, about that moment when you said, I'm gonna call and say there's an African-American man coming for me. Why do you need to tell Christian that? Unless you want him to then be afraid of what those cops are gonna do. Because we do know in general what cops will do if they hear that there's a man taking photos of me and also trying to assault me in Central Park. He's a black man, African-American man. You just told him you're gonna do that. Why does he need to know? He knows he's an African-American man. Why do you need to tell him that? Just pointing that small part out. She also, there's more. I'm gonna let you unleash on this whole thing in a second, Trae, I promise. She was also fired from her job with an investment firm in the wake of that May 2020 encounter and charged with filing a false police report. That was the assault part, probably. She was also allowed to complete 5 therapy sessions on racial bias in exchange for having the charge dropped. She probably took that, but she also claims with no evidence that Christian had threatened her other dog owners in the past, but they were too scared to speak out lest they be canceled, she said, as I have been. Does she know Christian? Because apparently he's always there threatening dog owners in that part of Central Park where you're not supposed to have your dog unleashed. So again, if you have your dog and you accidentally roll up in that section, which I'm willing to believe, and someone says, hey, you're in a section where you're supposed to have your dog leashed, you'd go, oh, my bad. I accidentally rolled up in this section. Let me fix the problem. And none of this would have happened. I remember this thing that a lot of conservatives like to say called personal responsibility. Not even saying she's a conservative. I have no idea what her political leanings are. But we do like to talk about personal responsibility, and it was apparently not taken here. One more part. She wrote that she'd been living in hiding for 3 years without a job that meets my qualifications. She even appeared to blame Christian for leaving domestic violence survivors in harm's way because she was forced to flee her New York City apartment, which had been used as a safe haven for numerous women who had endured abusive relationships. And lastly, she says, I only reported exactly what happened to me that day when I was threatened by a man with a history of aggressive behavior towards other dog owners in a remote, isolated area of Central Park. And then she says she was terrified and traumatized. I think people should be able to have a chance to work. So cool, I get it. She shouldn't be, a void of jobs. But if you want to publicly change the narrative about you, I think this might have been the wrong approach.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason she's one of the, the GOAT Karens. There's just so many elements of this. It's just a white woman being like existentially threatened by the existence of a black man in her presence. It's a tale as old as time. He's got a booming voice. It's the fact that he's like a bird watching makes it all kind of funnier too, because it's like, he's the most menacing bird watcher of all time, according to this lady. Like, when was the last time anyone found a bird watcher threatening? This is the only scenario I could think of. The MVP of this video is that dog, though, in my opinion, because it's like he don't want no part of it. The dog the whole time is just like, please let me get away from your crazy ass. He's just like, give it. It also, like, you could tell it's not very well behaved. That's the other thing too. Christian is 100% right. I can't stand people who don't have their dogs on a leash, and it's always somebody who has a badass dog like this one who don't listen to a damn thing they say. And, he's just he's been like a vigilante out there trying to keep these people in check, these bad dog owners. But of course, she just doesn't see it that way. But everything about it is so good, right down to the epilogue, which we just got with this iPad, where she shows zero self-awareness, zero self-reflection, no contrition at all. There could have been a right way to do this, maybe. If she put this out and she's like, you guys remember me? That was me. I've since learned a lot about how ridiculous that was. I was way out of line, whatever. But of course, there's just none of that, because these types of people, continue to believe that really they are the most persecuted class of individuals in this country. And, nothing can ever dissuade them from that perspective. So everything about it is kind of chef's kiss. Also, I might be wrong about this, but this dude, is he got his own like bird watching show now? On Nat Geo or something like that. Did he benefit
from this whole experience, I guess, too?
I don't know.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, I'm going to try to look that up real quick, because there was some guy, if it isn't him, it's a very weirdly similar situation where, I don't know. I can't find it. I know someone...
There's a guy from New York who's a science writer, editor, comics writer.
Extraordinary Birder with Christian Cooper. You can watch it on Hulu.
A birder.
Birder. He's a big birder, loves birding. But anyway, so he got a TV show out of it even. So sometimes things work out.
And that's maybe a part of it as well, too. Like, look, he benefits from this interaction. And then she's, of course, had her life turned upside down from it, which I'm willing to believe. Once you're you have the attention of so many people in a negative way, that's tend to
also all that other stuff about, like, listen, sorry she was a sexual assault victim and her living situation and all that, but like Christian had nothing to do with any of that. Like, none of that is at all relevant to like the actual situation as it transpired and the reason she got, pushback for it. But again, just zero self-awareness. Like, she cannot wrap her brain around that fact and will never be able to, because she has to be the ultimate victim. It's all very par for the course. But
one of the biggest hangups in interactions and destroying your life is pride. And everyone does something wrong. And then once you do something wrong, if you're willing to acknowledge it, that's really it. But then if you continue in hardcore and say, well, this is what you guys did to me, and actually none of this is my fault, bro, it gets harder. It just gets harder. And you have to see yourself in someone else's position. So again, this could have been avoided if you have a little bit more humility and say, my bad, my fault, I'm sorry. Let me fix it. It'd have been done in 10 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cooper. I didn't realize I was in this section. Let me leash my dog.
Right.
That's all.
It's also a good example of the type of racism that exists, and a whole lot of people in this country fervently believe that they're not racist. And I guarantee you she's one. I mean, we know she's one of them. She basically said that in her op-ed or whatever. And her like insistence on using the term African American and all that, like in her mind, she's like, because of that, she's not racist, while being overtly racist and everything about this particular, like it couldn't be more clearly racist what's happening. But, she uses the right words in her head, and she's like a, good upstanding citizen, and she would never, ever be, engaged in any kind of racism, despite what we can all see with our own two eyes. And, you run into that a lot with a lot of white people in this country on both sides of the political spectrum, by the way.
Find yourself weaponizing the police, then you're admitting that you expect them to do something that would be satisfactory for you to watch happen to the person that you're in a fight with.
Right.
It's always the basis for these things.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.